All right, we're here for a special bye-week edition of the Jets Group Chat podcast. Jets are obviously going into the bye, riding high. Impressive first half to the season, but tonight is a very special episode as we kind of walk away from the field. The Jets are doing well. We have a lot of maybe call it championship aspirations, or at least return to some glory days. And we have two very special guests who have experienced some glory days in the history of the Jets, something that Jerry and I can't really say we've experienced all that much of. But Mama Speegz, welcome to the pod.
Hey,
thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. I feel like I'm back in high school, Cardos.
I know, it's been a while. Instead of detention slips, we're going to talk some football today.
There we go. With no cursing.
No cursing, I
Your
promise.
Your mother-in-law will be very happy.
I'm gonna try my best. No cursing for the next half hour or so. And we also have Mama Speegz' good friend Martha here joining us, who has also some pretty awesome Jets stories relating back to Broadway Joe and all those great championship and playoff teams back in the day. So how are you guys doing? How are we feeling tonight? Where are you guys? What's going on?
We're in Cape Cod, in Bourne, Massachusetts. It's actually our 70th birthday party. There's 18 of us.
Oh,
we
wow.
rented this monster house, an Airbnb. We rented on the water, and
no free ads.
Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead. Keep going.
And we're just partying every night and having a really great time. And we're glad to hop on the pod with you guys.
Yeah. Cheers to that, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
No high noon or blue moon or what are you drinking?
They're high noon. They're called nooners, Ma. High noons.
Nooners. Okay. But they're
Yes.
not sponsoring you yet, huh? We got to move on.
Not
to
yet. I'm
somebody
trying
else.
to. I'm trying to get them out there. Let them know. Let me know. But for context
Okay.
for everybody, this is every time we talk about our principal, every time we used to talk about the legend of Carteret High School, this is Mary Speegz, and this is her, Mom of the Pod. I'll try not to say fuck as much as I can, Mom. I know you're going to yell at me anyway.
That's
But-
my boy.
I know, but you are a treasure trove of stories. You've got tons of stuff that you know about the Jets, probably more than me and Carlos do.
Yeah. We were just talking about that off air, just kind of going through what we wanted to touch on. And there's already in that 10-minute combo, a lot of things I had
20 minutes.
no idea.
Yeah, we had to cut them off to save some for the pot. But I do know that Mom, personally, the Gotham City Crew interview, shout out Claudia, that you listened to of me and Cardos, it sparked a lot of debate because there was a lot of conversations around how I became a Jet fan. Apparently, there's a lot that I don't know about. So first and foremost, let's start. How did you, Mom, become a Jets fan, and where does your fandom come from?
Yeah, and I do want to give a second shout out to Claudio because I really enjoyed, he did a separate podcast with each of you. And I just thought it was so great, but he really wanted to jump into the whole Jet fandom story. And you guys can only go so far because you're so young. You know, as we said, I don't want to repeat it, but it's our 70th birthday party. But, you know, we were there from the very beginning, you know, well before you were even born. And, you know, I would like to start by just recognizing a cousin of mine. His name is Bobby Mishak. He went to Union High School, went on to West Point, played there, was like all whatever. He's actually in their Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
And he was drafted and played for the Titans from, I think, I don't know, 62 or something.
Yeah.
And this is when they were the American League, and he was an American League all guard. I think he played guard.
Yeah.
And then he eventually, Al Davis brokered a deal and he went on to, what's that place? The Raiders. He went on to the Raiders and actually as a coach there got 3 Super Bowl rings. So he's quite a formidable guy. So and I know Jerry had alluded to this with Claudio, but my dad had worked and was pretty good friends with Leon Hess. So in 64, when Shea Stadium opened, because we did see some games in the Polo, but we started with the Titans. They became the Jets. And in 64, we got season tickets at Shea and became Jet fans. And I don't think Joe came on until 65.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, one of the funny things that we were talking about a little earlier was when Shea Stadium first opened, and you're talking about, you know, again, 64, they had a full orchestra in the end zone. And I thought that was amazing. Like you go now and there's this, it was called the Bob Cleveland Orchestra. And that Bob Cleveland's up there leading the band, and, you know, in between plays. And I don't even know if they had commercials. Right? Who knows? So far ago, they probably didn't have what you call it? TV, but they did. I'm
Yeah,
sure they did.
right.
Yeah. Okay,
Like
I'm
a
not
mother.
that big.
Like,
But my
Not that
father
old.
was like this, poor man's engineer. And we were little and we'd all go. We had 6 season tickets, great seats. He would wrap us up in garbage bags and put cardboard on the ground for us to stand on. But she was freezing. You'd get those winds.
Yeah.
It was absolutely
Yeah.
freezing.
Yeah.
Traffic getting in was a bitch, but it was funny how, I don't know, one of you guys might have been talking about it. You get to the game and it's almost more about the event. You could really give a crap about the game because you're so young, but
Yeah.
you're there. But then as it got, as we got older and a really good memory, we went to Springfield College, all undergrad. And I remember looking at the program one year. I don't know when, I think it was 1971. I'm looking at the program at Shea. And all of a sudden I see this guy, John Curtis. And it said, John Curtis, Springfield College. I'm like, I know him, John Curtis. He's a friend of ours. Yeah, we used to hang out with him. And he was like, and it was really interesting. That particular year, they had listed the number 1 draft pick for the Jets that year was John Riggins.
Oh,
And
yeah.
as you go down the thing, so you're reading all these big schools, big football schools, and you're reading them, and all of a sudden you see Springfield College. I'm like, woohoo! And I had no idea because I had graduated. No, I was still there. He graduated. He was older.
Okay.
But actually, Springfield's a very small, a big phys ed at the time, phys ed school, and he was the only kid, the only football player drafted into the NFL out of the school.
Wow.
Yeah, he was all American. Yeah, he was really, really good. Yeah, but whatever. So, time evolved, then they left Shea. And then we got the tickets at Giant Stadium. And that's when, I was starting to get older and my father was getting older and I was starting to go to games myself,
Mhm.
not the little kid wrapped in a garbage bag at Shea, freezing my ass off, bouncing to the Bob Cleveland Orchestra.
Then I became that kid.
What's that?
Then I became that kid who was freezing at Jet games.
It was nothing like Shea. I got to tell you, those were, but we had some really cool times because before we went to Giant Stadium, Martha and our friend Diana, Martha knew Joe and Winston Hill was a good friend of yours, a lot of the
Mhm.
players. And I think this might be a good time to segue into Martha's story, but
Read my mind.
we would actually go into not happy hours, brunches in Manhattan.
Oh,
We'd
nice.
go to a brunch.
All you can drink.
Back then it was all you could drink brunches. And then on our way back, we get to the Jet game at like halftime. And we had, the guards were like, where's your ticket? We have tickets. We just went. Where's your ticket? We're all loaded. And then he'd say, well, where are you coming from? Like thinking like section 322 or section 280.
Those were all the guys when we sat in like the 3rd row. And they were passing the Peachtree schnapps to us.
Schnapps?
Peach
Oh my
schnapps.
Goodness gracious.
Let's go.
We snuck into the section and like, where are you girls
You
coming
gotta
from?
sneak in. You sneak into the 1st row. You don't sneak in up top.
You don't go up top, no. But anyway, we snuck in and where you coming from? And instead of saying section 222 or whatever, they're like,
we were very honest. We
Yeah.
came from Kitty Hawk.
Kitty Hawk. We're in Kitty Hawk. Like, what's Kitty Hawk? Oh, it's a bar in New York. That's where we come from. But the security guards were so exacerbated by us. Like they would just didn't know what the hell was going on. They just would let us go. They're like, just go. Just go. Like, see ya, bye. We had no tickets. We just blew ourselves in there.
Oh my God.
So, and then we didn't have tickets. No, we didn't have tickets because we would have given them because if we had tickets, we would have gone to the game. We wouldn't have gone to drink first. We would have drank at the game.
Yes, you would have. Why wouldn't you go drink first?
We would have tailgated. It's cheaper. Maybe.
Cheaper.
So anyway, I had gone to, during the time they were still at Shea, had gone to training camp because I had been, when I graduated high school, in my yearbook, it says New York Jets number 12. Like I was a Joe Namath Jets fan from high school. I
Okay.
graduated high school in 71. So it's been a long time. So my dear friend Martha is like, oh, Dad, tell your story.
Obviously, I'm not from New York.
She's from Massachusetts.
Yeah, you might be able to tell from the way I talk that I'm from Boston, and there was really no Boston football back then. So
No Tom Brady yet? Is that what you're saying?
Not yet.
No. So I'm out, graduated, and my first year out teaching, I'm teaching in this little tiny town called Sutton, right outside of Worcester. And, 3/4 of the way through the school year, one of the teachers who also has a side job is running the aquatic area at Nichols College. Now, Nichols College is where Joe Namath would run his football camp every year. So evidently in the wonderful state of New Jersey, they ran a great contest at all the stops, whatever, Burger King,
The rest stop.
whatever's in your rest stop.
Oh, okay.
At Joe Namath camp. Well, kids put their name in, they pull all the names out. Well, a good amount of them were girls. So they can't just say you can't go because you're a girl. Even back then, they weren't saying that yet. It was right around Title IX.
Title IX time.
So
Yeah.
they needed to come up with a program for all the girls. So as the phys ed teacher at this high school, this guy said, listen, Joe Namath's camp, they need to run a girls program. Can you come up with a program and run it and oversee it? I said, no problem, I can do that. And so all of a sudden, I find myself developing a whole program. There's probably about 60, 70 girls.
Oh, wow.
And I also become Joe's personal, can you pick up my niece at the airport and get her at 3:00 and this and that? So I've got the whole program going. I'm doing all the Namath, what do you need there type of thing. And the Associated Press picked it up. So despite all my organizational and creative
Your activities, right?
things that I did, all went up in the air because all the press wanted is to see the girls do all the boys football stuff. So
Okay.
gone is all the any girls thing separate. The girls, they're saying, have the girls go through the tires, have the girls do the passing drills. They're interviewing everyone. Obviously, none of my quotes made the paper because who would want to hear from me? But Joe Namath was there, Ed Marinaro was there that year. And it was kind of funny because my brother went to Cornell. So I had just seen Ed when he was playing in his football days at Cornell. And he was friendly with a lot of the football players. So, and Winston Hill, Rich Castor. So it was kind of a funny time. So like the first night there, I go out and I'm having at some pub and it's myself and Joe Namath, who I really don't know who he is. So I'm sitting there and there's another person and we're talking and they're talking about the Brady Bunch. Now, I never watched the Brady Bunch, but evidently Joe Namath had just been on the Brady Bunch. So
okay.
Talking, and I'm trying to
You
pretend.
still don't know who he is.
I have no idea who Joe Namath is, but I do remember that my good friend Mary really was a fan of Joe Namath. So of course I let her know. And then another night, it's funny because Joe wouldn't always make direct contact. He would send he had like not a bodyguard, but something in that idea, somebody that would do things for him. So he'd come up and say, Joe's going fishing. Would you like to go fishing with him? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go fishing. I love fishing. So we go out fishing and he's just such a nice guy. So we'd stop on the way to pick up stuff and you'd go into a store with him and every single person in the store would come running over and say, would you sign this for me, Joe? Would you do this for me, Joe? And he would, so nice.
Very gracious,
Nice,
yeah.
gracious, just polite, be nice to everyone. Then we go out in the boat. Now we're this is not the days of the yachts. We're on, I think it was Lake Chagagog, Chagagog, Jabanagungamon. Yeah, it's a little Indian name. And you fish on your side, I fish on my side. Nobody fishes in the middle type of thing. And we're in a small motorboat. A small motorboat with the fishing, we're doing the bait and all that. And I think it was his bodyguard or whatever, like I was going to hurt him and myself. All these boats. It's so funny because when you're with Joe, it's like he attracts everyone. All these boats would come over and they go, Joe, hey, Joe, you want to try this lure, fishing lure, or try this? It's like he's always lives in a fishbowl, literally, because everywhere he goes, people come over and they say, here, would you sign this? Would you, you want to try this? Because he was just such a nice guy.
Tell him when we went to training camp. After
to finish that off, we did have a lot of fun because I did get to play. They do, whenever they're in a community, they do charity softball. So here I am out in the field. Now, I've gone from having no idea who Joe is, right? Everywhere you go, all these people are going, and I like this guy must be pretty popular. Now I'm out on a softball field and I'm playing on the softball team with, I've got Ed Marinaro on one side. That was before he was in Hill Street Blues. He was doing a commercial. I can't remember what it was for. It wasn't underwear. I think that'd have been Joe. But then you got Ed Marinaro. You got Joe Namath,
Rich Castor,
Winston Hill, and in the outfield, you got a bunch of other players.
and Martha.
And I'm like,
Martha.
I'm thinking, this is going to be unbelievable. But it was a lot of fun. But the best part was telling Mary I had done all this because she was so excited. I didn't really know.
How jealous were you?
Well, that's the story about training camp.
Then we go to training camp.
So it might have been the next year because I also went up and saw Joe the next year too. But
they're in Hofstra at the training
well,
camp.
I'll do one story about this when I went up the next year. And Joe asked me to, the president had a reception, whatever, and he had asked me out, and I had just met the guy who is my husband now. I just met him, just started dating him, and Joe had asked me out, and I said, oh, I'll go out with him, So I came home a day late, the next day, and I said, Larry, I probably should say what my husband's name is. I said, I'm sorry, I said, Joe Namath asked me out, so I decided I should go, I'm going out. My husband looked at me and said, well, at the time, my boyfriend looked at me, he said, if Joe asked me out, I would have gone out with him.
So you could say you guys started the hall pass is really what it is. Someday you got a pass with one of, one or two famous celebrities and you got yours.
My just met boyfriend was so excited and he knew who Joe Namath was. I really had any chance. But then, so I've got Mary on it now because, it's really Mary that I care about, Mama Speegz. And she's the one that loves Joe. So I'm like, all right, we'll go to training camp. So I drive down, I get my little Tahiti blue.
He's got this little MG convertible, two-seater little MG convertible. We got the top down. It's a beautiful day. We're driving down the LIE and we're going to Hofstra.
We pull up to Hofstra. We drive in.
Go through the gates. We get carte blanche right in.
Here comes Joe. And he sees us. And Joe's walking over the car.
Martha!
Yeah. And he walks over the car. He says, hey, Martha, and Mary's like this. And she's got remember the little Instamatic cameras where you turn them?
Yeah.
She's got on the dashboard or in between. And Mary's going for the camera to take a picture. And I say, if you touch that camera, I'll break your. Can I say it?
Yeah.
You can say it.
Fucking up. Joe's coming over. And Mary's like ready to take pictures.
Yeah, Marinara came over. They'll come up, and he came over. He said, "Hey, Martha, how you doing? How you been?" And then we were all supposed to meet that night at this bar. He goes, "Okay, we're going to go to this bar tonight after practice. We'll see you there."
We were probably the smallest people in the bar. It was the entire
friggin' line. It was huge.
Wow.
All these people. But the only thing is, Joe stood us up.
Joe didn't show up that day.
Joe didn't show up, so it was us and the line.
Was that the only time you partied with some other jet royalty, or do we know more? Is there more that I don't know about?
To say, one of the classiest, nicest men of all of that crew, Winston Hill. Winston was a wonderful guy.
Jets Hall of Famer, I believe. He's in the Jets Hall of Fame.
When they came in, and we just looked it up, I happened to be at the famous Monday Night Football game that banned the Patriots ever getting a Monday Night Football game for 14 years. And that was against the Jets. So they were in town. They were staying actually at the Holiday Inn in Dedham. And Winston Hill had given us tickets for my parents and myself. And they actually had my father and mother come in and for drinks at the bar. I don't think it was the night of the game, but it must have been the night before the game.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, Winston Hill was one of the nicest guys. One time we went out for dinner, must have been I think maybe the next year, because we had become good friends. So Winston and I went out for dinner in the at the Public House, which is very traditional. The Public House is where not Plymouth.
Very conservative.
In Sturbridge Village, very conservative. Well, I can tell you when Winston Hill was like 6'5",
Big, huge black man comes walking in with a tall blonde.
And I'm like, I'm almost 6 feet, and I walk in, and it was like every head went one of these.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they were
It's
just friends. They weren't dating, but he was just such a sweet man. Sweet
I kept
man.
in touch with him for a long time. He was very supportive. Great guy. Great guy. As was, there was several others. Rich Castor was great. He became friends with some of my other college friends. And
We would go down to the locker room at Shea. We would be in the locker room when they came out. Not in the locker room,
we have
but
a few funny
like the
stories from
players'
that, but-
lounge. Yeah, that's for another episode.
Yeah, and people would think we were making it up, but we weren't.
We brought Diana in here, we weren't making it up.
Yeah. I find that fascinating too. Like when you said that when Joe went up to do the camp and you were taking him around and stopping off at places that even back then, like we know now how big anybody is that plays in the NFL. You could be just a regular guy and you're pretty recognizable because of social media and being on TV and commercials and all that. But back then, like there was no social media. There wasn't a wide, like you couldn't watch the Jets game in California or Florida. Like if you didn't have local television, really, it was kind of out of your market. But I think that just speaks to how big of a star Joe was.
Joe was,
Right.
yeah.
Specifically, like Joe.
Well, after the Super Bowl, I mean, that was the big thing when he made that prediction.
Right.
And he was all over the papers. I mean, I think I told you in the pre-thing that we were down
Weren't you there?
obviously.
Yeah.
Huh?
Weren't you there at Super Bowl 3?
I'm not at the game. I was in Miami to see the Orange Bowl game. Like we watched the Oakland. They played Oakland in the snow to win, I guess, the AFC or whatever it was called then, AFL championship. I'm not sure because it was, different leagues then. But we watched it in the snow we were in Hollywood or someplace in Florida. I remember being in a bathing suit watching. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to win. I'm like a little kid, but I was excited about the game. And we actually went there for the Orange Bowl, which was Kansas, Penn State. I was telling you that Frank Spaziani story. But we got to go to their practice. We went to the field. And he, like you say, him and all the other players were just so incredibly gracious. Unbelievable at their time. And, you take it fast forward. Not too many years ago, you were there, Jerry, when he came in to
the fundraiser March of Dimes. Yeah.
Well, that my dad was sponsoring at Plainfield Country Club with Continental Airlines at the time, which became United.
Sure.
And Joe was there, and Joe couldn't golf, and I didn't golf. So everybody's out on the course, and I'm in there like, what am I going to do now? I just got myself a martini. I went, and all of a sudden there's Joe. I went and sat down with Joe and just bullshitted with him for hours. Such a great man. Great.
Well, I was gonna say,
my great friend here. I said, so did you ask Joe if
I never.
I said hi.
You didn't.
I forgot all about.
She was worrying about herself. That's why she's drinking the martini. She was trying to just chat him up.
Threw me under the bus.
But I must say though, to be honest, I remember it's had to be 40 years after you met him, or so to speak. I mean, I was 14, 15 when this happened. But even talking to me, and again, a young kid, you don't care. He's just chatting it up, having a good
with
time.
the golf tournament?
Yeah.
No, you were no. You were like either in high school or out of high school. It wasn't that long ago.
All I know is I remember I had on my finger Joe Namath Super Bowl 3.
Yeah, he lets you try his ring on.
Really?
So yes. So I was again in another story.
Talk about a once in a lifetime experience.
So which was cool is he met, and again, Mom, keep me honest here. He met my Uncle Mike down at the Orange Bowl and signed something for him. And there's a picture of Joe standing over my uncle signing something.
Signing it.
So when Joe came to one of the March of Dimes, golf outings,
Plainfield Country Club golf outing that we had. That was a fundraiser.
My uncle would always bring it just in case he showed up.
Sure.
So he finally shows up, and he actually signed a picture of himself signing something for my uncle. X amount of years later. It was like,
that's
really
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But we were chatting up, and again, since it was my grandfather was, kind of sponsoring the outing, we were just there, and a bunch of my family chatting with him, talking, just war stories, things like that. He was signing a few things, and I remember, I think it was you, Mom, who said, I was like, oh, look at his ring. Like, look at how, they were small. It wasn't crazy. Like, oh, look at the ring. And he's like, oh, you like that, young man? And I look, and I'm like, yeah. He goes, he takes it off, like, without even a hesitation. He goes, here, try it on. And goes back to, like, signing stuff. And I was like, I put it on, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is that? I have to find it. I definitely have it, but
I'd love to see that.
And another kind of cool random story. And again, I hope here it is.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Joe and there's you.
Oh wow. That's a
So
great picture.
Yeah, so I have on his ring, and I was like, shit my pants. So it's me with Joey.
Yeah.
But a cool little moment. Gotta make sure Lisa's not listening. So at that time, I was dating Janelle. I'm sure.
I thought I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say
yeah.
that's why I know you weren't 13.
So whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I remember Janelle. Yeah.
so we're all there. We're like, oh, let's take a family picture with Joe. So of course, me being giddy and me, being a high school quarterback, I'm like, oh, let me go next to Joe Namath. He goes, nah, young man. He goes, bring the lady next to me. Pushes me out of the way, takes Janelle, puts him next to him, and then puts his arm around her. And I think you, Mom. And then
on the other side, yeah.
Take a picture of all of us. I was like, you motherfucker. But it was like a
I think
cool,
Joe
like,
liked the ladies.
he liked the
Joe was a
ladies.
ladies' man. He most definitely was a ladies' man. I mean, he's not dead. And actually, just to give a quick shout out, he did a lot of things with Fort Myers recently too, with some of the fundraising efforts that you guys have been having down there. Because, as you know, Jerry lives in Fort Myers, so it's been kind of tough down there.
And we got another Jets royalty down here, Mike Westhoff. Shout out, Coach.
That was
down
that was a great interview you guys did with him. I loved his stories, and you could tell he was engaged with you.
He's great. He was great. He talked to us off the air too. He's very thankful for having us on. He said we were good personally. Like he'd love to come back on anytime for us. He invited. It's funny that you said that Joe Namath invited you fishing. Because when we got done interviewing him off the air, he invited Jerry to go fishing with him.
See?
Yeah, I mean, with these Jet guys.
Hopefully not the same as Joe Namath, inviting you to go fishing, because I don't know if I'm down for that. But either way, still, it was a cool moment.
We just fished.
Of course, yeah, I'm sure you did.
fishing.
I'm sure you fished around. Anyway, Mom. Circling back to some of these stories, I know that there's a lot of stories of like the Jetson kids and me, and when we were younger, going to the Meadowlands. I know you've got a bunch of those funny stories. Tell a few of your favorite Jet moments or Jet stories from either when I was just around being born as a kid or even prior to us at physical games.
Well, one of my favorites that I tell all the time, especially since I ended up working at the Sports Authority and I was like the one riding around in the golf cart, like yelling at other people for doing what I was doing. But we would pack you up in snowsuits and, we'd have you all bundled up and you're like going in through the gate. But what we would do before we came through is we would take cold beers and put them down your snowsuit, down the arms and down the legs. So you're walking like a robot because you can't bend your arms because it's all filled with cans of beer. So we would, and then you go, mommy, it's cold. I'm like, shh, we're almost through. Shh. But as soon as we go around into the spiral that goes up, we take the beer. And then the Ninja Turtle one is another famous one, but that's not me. That's Uncle Andy. But Uncle Andy, who's my brother, had a Ninja Turtle costume. If you remember when they were big, I don't know if they still are. But back when they really were big, and he rented it out, had the big head, the big shell in the back, and he went to a Jet game in it because again, it didn't have to be back until Monday morning. So he stuck all these beers in the head of the turtle and all these beers in the shell of the turtle. Well, the security guards caught the beers in the head, but they didn't get the beers in the shell. So he got through with a couple of those. So and then did I tell you the wedding story?
Tell us.
No, I'd
the
love to hear
wedding
it.
story is my last one, I promise. The wedding story, well, I got married in 1986 in September, and there was a game. And I got married on a Saturday, and it was formal. So all the guys in the wedding party were basically family, all had tails, tuxedos with the tails.
Sure.
And so they all put these on. They kept because the tuxedos weren't due back till Monday. They all went to the game in the tuxedos, and they go up to this section. And I think, Matt, you talked about how people in your section become family, especially if they're the ones that come all the time. Like, hey, how you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Oh, that asshole you gave the tickets to last week was a real jerk. Don't have him come by. Oh, that guy was great. He bought us a bunch of beers. So
Yeah.
anyway, they all go in these black, penguin suits, these tuxedos. And now everybody around them are like, what are you doing here? He goes, well, I'm getting married, but I got a couple hours. I want to catch at least the half of the game. People are blown away that this is happening. So now they have it in their head. They're going to get him all messed up and get him all drunk that he doesn't go to his own wedding. So they are buying them all beers. There were beers just flying. I have another. Then you get the wives go, no, don't do that. He's got to go get married. You got to go. Don't wait. Don't stay here anymore. I'm like, what the hell? She'll understand. Let's go Jets, because the Jets are winning. It's just crazy. It was just crazy. But these are all true stories of. So when you talk about Jeff fandom, it's like a culture, it's a cult, and it's just something you just grow up with, but it has more to do about the people than it does about the team. Like, we're all really cool people that just have a goal of loving this team. And we're not fly by nights. We're like, I think you had said, Matt, too.
Good times and bad.
Yeah, good and bad, a lot of bad.
A lot of bad.
A lot of bad.
That was talking about how kids don't, kids might grow up and say, ooh, I want to be like a Dallas Cowboy fan, or I want to be a Patriots fan, or whatever. Kids never grew up saying they want to be a Jet fan. It was because that's what they grew up into. Broadway Joe was a different time. Back then, yeah. All his $447,000 3-year contract.
But he probably paved the way for a lot of that earlier generation, which now turned their kids, us, into Jet fans.
But you didn't have a choice. I wasn't taking you to Giant games. I was taking you to Jet games.
Right. Why would I go to
now?
Giant
Because I brainwashed you, basically.
Exactly. And look at the misery and the therapy bills that you've had to accrue because of that. Thank you.
Well, we're having a good year this year. Then everybody starts getting hurt. So now it's like, now what?
Who knows? Martha, so would you say you're a Patriots fan, or are you an honorary now Jets adopted fan?
Well, I always watch, if I have the second choices, I watch the Jets. It's a little tougher, because I don't have the connections I used to, but I always have the connection of Mary loves the Jets. So if I can cheer for the Jets, I'll go for the Jets as the backup. I was never a big big Patriots fan before Brady. With Brady, I became a Patriots fan because I thought he was fun to watch. I like Belichick, but he's also the most hated coach, and
because he's good.
Brady was always the most hated
he's good
quarterback. So it was, it's kind of tough because we have friends from all over the country that each have very specific teams they like, and I like sports. I mean, I've always liked sports. And so I try to balance it. I love the game of football. So I would watch anybody in football. There are some teams I like more than others. There's some I want to lose, some I want to win.
But now that Brady is with another team, do you follow Brady, the player, or do you follow the Patriots, or both?
I follow and cared more, though it's waning a little bit with Brady. But
the door's open to come back to the Jets whenever you want.
We'll have you.
And I always support Mary and you, Jerry, with the Jets, but I haven't connected with any of the Jets plays because it's been like a revolving door.
Sure.
And
plus we're a lot older.
Yeah, it's a lot older, but I like. It's kind of fun to watch this kid Zappy. He's fun.
Yeah,
a Zappy for Patriots.
Yeah.
Everyone loves an underdog.
Well, he's not starting on Sunday. They just announced it's going to be Mac Jones.
No way. Really?
Yeah. Mac Jones is going to start this Sunday, they say. Although he started on Monday and they took him out after like 3 possessions. So
yeah,
you never know what good old Bill Belichick is going to do.
It's not. Let's just say it's not the same. It's not the same.
Does
you make your connections?
Does the New England area feel like they've kind of wavered away from the Patriots a little bit since Brady left? Like, does it feel like the hoopla?
No, I think true, diehard Patriots fans, I think they stay with the Patriots. Some were angry that Tom left. I understood why he did. I mean, it was another challenge. I think he just needed to continue to challenge himself.
Sure.
But what do I know?
Yeah, same.
I'm just another fan that likes football.
That's why we're here. We're all fans. That's why we're here talking about it.
Right.
We're not out there doing it. We're not coaching it. We're just there to sit back and enjoy the ride. I mean, football's the best soap opera of all, I think. So it's
And
a
it's
constantly
always
evolving.
more fun when your team wins.
Yeah, which is why
It is more fun when your team wins.
we're finally having a little bit of fun. It's been over a decade
Yes,
since we've been
yes.
able to have any enjoyable football. Like, at least you guys can look back to those years that Joe was around. Like, the Jets were the toast of the town. They were the hot ticket. They were the hot item. They were on the game of the week all the time. And when's the last time the Jets had a Monday night football game or a primetime football game? I can't
Outside
remember.
of a Thursday night. Well,
Yeah.
was Darnold's game a Monday night game? The Darnold's first game?
Yeah, Darnold, that
Was
was
it?
2018. Yeah.
But a meaningful primetime game, not much. And I think this year, hopefully we're commanding enough respect that the next schedule that comes out next year will put everybody on notice. But we'll see. It's still early. We're having a good season so far. Still a lot of road left. But we're a good team. We're not a great team yet. We're a good team.
We're on the way.
We're on the way.
We're on the mend.
We're on the mend.
Well, Carlos, I like the Sauce Gardner jersey. That's a new addition to your background, isn't it?
Yeah, I got it over the summer. He did an autograph signing not too far here from my house. So before he even played, though, I got it. He could have been shitty, and then it would have been a wasted jersey. But
Good
it
now.
just
It would have
turned out
been a wasted draft pick. Are you kidding me?
we've had
Can you
plenty of those.
imagine?
We've had plenty of those. So
When I watched Thibodeau do so well in that Giant game, I'm like, damn, we could have had it. But then I'm thinking, no, we had Sauce though. Sauce
I got to be honest, and I've got to eat crow. I plan on talking about this more on our pod, but I 100% that I didn't want Sauce. I was like, there's
Yeah.
no reason you take a
You
quarter
want
that
these? You
high.
want what is it? Thibodeau?
Thibodeau.
yeah,
I
you
wanted,
want it.
yeah.
Yeah, you
He's
wanted
good.
Thibodeau.
I think honestly, you couldn't go wrong either way. But picking up Sauce and having him shut down the entire right side of the field or whatever one side of the football field, I think he's contributed a lot to that defense being successful because now you're taking away either a number one or a solid number two, and you got no one to throw to. And look
Right.
at our defense now; it went from last to top 10, top 5, top 7 in the matter of one offseason. So
Yeah. That's how quickly
I'm
it
wrong.
could change.
I'm wrong. I'll say it.
I
but
love
did say
that
Garrett
Michael
Wilson.
Clemens guy. Is that Michael Clemens? He's like a
Yeah.
beast.
Psychopath. I
Yeah,
love
he's
it.
not. He's nuts. He might be a serial
Total
killer.
psycho.
I
Gotta
love it,
love
though.
him.
So is it safe to say, Mom, that if the Jets make it to a Super Bowl in the foreseeable future, we have to go?
No, what I would do, and I went to the the prices are so stupid. But I
Yeah.
went when the Giants played Denver in the Super Bowl, and it was out the Rose Bowl. I went to that game with tickets, and
88. Was I born in 88? So wouldn't that
no,
have been
86
I was
or
gonna say
88.
I was
I
there.
think it was 86. I think that was the 86
Yeah,
Super
well, it
Bowl.
was
Yeah.
80 something. I don't remember dates. It's like what birthday we told you it was. But I would go out, fly out, and like hang, depending on where it is. You know what I mean? If it's California, I don't know if I'd go there. I hate California. But if it's like almost go and be somewhere in the outskirts and just go to all the parties and go to all the pregame.
Mhm.
Half the fun of being out in Denver was all the pregame stuff. If you
Mhm.
got out, because it was such a horrible snowstorm, we almost didn't get out. Like all the planes were canceled, and Uncle Andy's flight, he went out before us. They all got in trouble. They were throwing snowballs in the
Isn't he
aisle.
isn't he on the front page of like the New York Times?
The Daily
with
News.
The Daily News.
That was a game at Giant Stadium. That wasn't Super Bowl.
Oh, but same
But
thing,
yeah, it
throwing
was like
snow.
the Santa Bowl or something. Everybody was dressed up as Santa Claus. It must have been a Christmas time
Sure.
tournament or a Christmas time game. And I'm probably going to get him in trouble if anybody heard this, but here's my brother like this, arm back, ready to peel off a snowball.
There's no evidence he threw it. No
And
evidence.
he's in a Santa costume. Everybody was wearing Santa costumes. It was weird. It's like Santa Con at Giant Stadium.
Right.
You remember that, Matt?
I do.
game?
I don't remember that game specifically, but I've seen a lot of videos and pictures of like just the stadium dressing up like Santa, like having an overwhelming amount of Santa Claus people at the Meadowlands. I've seen it quite a few times actually.
I think I would go, Jer. If the Jets were in it, I'd probably go.
Where is
Yeah.
it this year?
So that's another thing. So it's in Arizona this year. So I have my company has an office in Arizona, and one of my good friends I work with lives in Arizona. He's always trying to get me to come out there. It's in I think it's in Phoenix. So
I think it's in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale
or Glendale, wherever.
yeah. Well, either way,
It's in one of the Dales.
he's like
I
he's
have
like
a
less than an
sister-in-law
hour
there. We
away.
got a place to stay.
We know we had no people there we could stay with.
But it's like, and I'm debating because it's in the first week of February, and the baby's due in March. So it's like, this is my last hurrah. Can I go?
Congratulations.
Nobody,
Oh, yeah.
you announced this?
Oh well,
That you're
shit.
having it? Oh, no, now you
I-
did.
Cat's out of the bag.
I
Yeah.
won't tell.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, another long-suffering Jet fan due March 2023. So
Okay.
there's that. But
Could-
either way, yes. So I'm debating on trying to find my way to weasel going to Arizona so I can go to all the surrounding parties. Because you're right, Mom. It's like 30 grand to go to ticket. I don't care enough about the game. I want to go
Yeah.
party and do all
Yeah,
the surrounding stuff.
I probably could never afford a ticket without mortgaging like my life savings.
You got to
to-
know
Your wife
somebody.
would kill you.
Yeah, but I think that, like you said, I think the move would be the next best thing is to at least get into the city and go to like a watch party or a tailgate around the stadium or watch it at a bar outside. It's just to be in the city, say you were there with all the other fans, and if they win, it's mayhem. If they win, the city turns into mayhem. And then I'd want to come back and I'd want to go to the parade through the Canyon of Heroes in New York. I think that would be incredible.
Carlos, did you go to the city when it was here? Did you do all the when it was the Seahawks
No,
manning thing?
I didn't know. I didn't really have an interest. Like, if my team's not playing in it, I don't really have an interest in it. Like, if somebody gave me a free ticket and an all expenses paid trip, like, yeah, I'd go. But like, I don't know, fucking Seahawks playing Denver. What? I don't want to go to that. What do I care?
Suck too. Either way,
Yeah.
What's the game? I go to sleep at 8 o'clock if the game comes on way too late.
Well,
Right.
it's past your bedtime now.
It is. You guys are worth it.
Damn right we are.
Well, that sounds like a good time. We appreciate you, Mama Speegz, for hopping on. Thank you for always listening, always supporting.
Martha, you
Giving
too.
my
You're
thumbs
wonderful.
up or my whatever.
I'll
Yeah.
be a fan now. I'll be a
Yeah,
fan.
we're gonna get her signed up. And what's
Yeah.
your next promotion coming up? You have
Uh,
another promotion?
I don't know. I think we're still we have to do a giveaway soon. I think
We
we're
do.
gonna
We're doing a giveaway soon.
we're gonna do one. We need our next milestone is 1,000 Twitter followers. I think we're at like 700 and change now.
We're almost there.
So when we hit 1,000, we'll do another probably jersey giveaway. We gave away a Zach Wilson jersey when we hit 500.
I didn't win. I tried. What do you have to do to you guys are on Twitter, like to hear a pod?
Oh, so to listen, you could listen on YouTube, which is where the video version of it will be. You could
Right.
actually watch this interaction. But audio is also available on Spotify. Most people have that, or Apple Podcasts. If you have an iPhone, you just look for the little podcast icon. It's on every iPhone, and you just search Jets Group Chat Podcast. It'll come up. You just hit subscribe. And so if you subscribe every time there's a new episode, when it's published, you'll just get a notification pop up on your phone that says Jets Group Chat Podcast, new episode available. You click it and you're
When's the new one coming up? Because we had the ranting one, and then
well, when we finish doing this, we're
That's
going
where
to
we're
we're going to record another episode.
oh, I'm sorry. Because did you do the Monday night one yet?
No,
Or the Monday after the game one?
well, schedules didn't
Okay.
line up.
They're
So
always smiling up. Yeah.
so this is the one where we're going to record after this is going to be the recap.
But we
of
had to
last week.
jump at the opportunity. If both of you wonderful ladies are on the room.
Yeah, while you
together, we
guys
gotta
are
make sure you're
together,
there.
we'd figured it was a perfect opportunity rather than trying to connect you all in separately. And so once again, cheers to you guys. We appreciate the stories and really, really interesting stuff, really fascinating to a lot of stuff I didn't know. And it just kind of makes you wish that they could
A lot of
get to
stuff
that.
you shouldn't know.
We do now.
Got the claim for Gerard. But if we go on Gotham City Cruise podcast, we'll spill a little bit more dirt.
We'll reach out to Claudia. See what we can do.
I'm sure we could arrange that. We'll be in touch. We'll see if we could set that up for you.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you. Thanks for having us on and having patience with our stories.
Of
But,
course, they were awesome.
Awesome. We love it.
It's just
Yeah.
a different insight. You guys ended at, like you were telling your stories and it ended. I'm like, well, and I'm sitting there like going, oh, Jerry, tell him about the garbage bag. Tell him about this, tell him about that. But he did it in fairness to Jerry.
I don't even know live yet.
He didn't know.
I know, you didn't know, but I knew. So it was driving me crazy. And I'm like, Claudia.
We'll have to
Well-
have you guys on more often. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll have you
back.
guys on again for sure. It was a pleasure.
We can take a little box like what the other guys are talking. We can,
I'll see if I can pull my connections with the Portnoys.
yeah, we'll get.
Oh yeah, that's a story for another pod. Technically,
Yeah.
Martha is Barstool royalty. She started essentially. She helped Portnoy get off the
I
ground.
provided the transportation so David Portnoy could get his the Barstool Sports his newspaper or whatever you want to
the
call it.
flyer or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Are you
so
still
that he
friends
got-
with his mom?
Huh?
Yeah,
you
well,
still-
I don't see her as often, but she lives within a quarter of a mile of me. I saw her the other day. I got her phone number.
We'll,
That's
we'll,
another-
we'll,
There you
we'll
go.
pull her up. What's that word?
Yeah.
What do you say? We'll
Hit her up.
What do you do?
Hit her up.
Bring her up.
Ring her up?
Ring her up.
Hit. Yeah. Slide in her DMs. I don't know. What do you mean?
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Call her. What the
That was
fuck?
always a funny story. But who would have thought he made it?
Yeah.
Never
He's
And he did. He's on top of the world now.
Yeah, he's pretty much the king. So
Yeah.
I had to switch to rosé all day, so. This one's empty. All right, that's when you know the podcast should be over because we're done. We gotta go fill up.
All right.
Cheers,
Well,
guys.
let's.
well,
Pleasure.
cheers, Mama Speegz. Thank you, Martha. Thank you guys for hopping on. And we'll have you guys on again soon.
All right. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.